In this tutorial, I will show how to implement Swagger in your existing Express API RESTful API. Okay, so I have an existing project in which I have an API, Express API for books. So get a book, add a book, delete a book, and update a book. So we have CRUD operations. Okay, so I will implement Swagger and OpenAPI docs for these all operations. Okay, so for that I will have to install first dependencies for the Swagger. Okay, first I will show that it is working or not. Okay, so npm start. Okay, it will run on port 5000. Okay, now time to check on browser the API is working or not. Okay, localhost 5000, book list. Okay, so I think there is books. Okay, the route is name is books. Okay, it is working. So get API to get all the list of the books are working correctly. Okay, so I have to implement Swagger UI endpoint for these APIs. Okay, let's start with the dependencies for the Swagger. For that we have to install Swagger UI Express, and second one swagger-jsDoc. Okay, so these two have to be installed with the npm. So npm I Swagger UI Express and swagger-jsDoc. Okay, opening another terminal. Oh, something error is there. Okay, name of JSDocs is incorrect, so I have to rename this Express UI. Okay, DCO should not be there, DOC should be there, JSDoc. Okay, now it will work. Okay, it's installing. Okay, meanwhile okay, I am adding a separate file for the configuration of the Swagger. So the options passed should be written here. Okay, swagger.js, it's okay, and here I will write the options which should, or the settings or the details you want to submit with the Swagger. Okay, so you can give any name, option, and here you have to see the Swagger UI Express. For the reference, you should have to remember the name like definition, and then you have to provide info, and inside info you can get all these JSON syntax from the npm site, npm JS repository, by searching the Swagger UI Express for reference. Okay, so I am giving here the definition information is that what is this Swagger endpoint is about. So Swagger integration demo. Okay, description you can add. Okay, then version 1.0.0 I am giving it here. Okay, Okay, so comma is missing in the JSON, so it's throwing error. So all the dependencies package has been installed here. Okay, now I will export this option from here, this file, module.exports equal to options. Okay, so these are all three are the basic information. Okay, so if you want to add more, you can see the official document site and you can copy paste from there if you require. And second one which I have to pass here is APIs. These are all the path of your routes. So I have only one route for book. I will add that file path here, route/book, so that it can automatically refer the API endpoints. Okay, now I am adding some description here. Okay, okay, everything is good in this file. Now it's time to import in server.js. So first of all I will import some, I have to import upside, I think. Okay, I will import it upside. Okay, so I have to import the Swagger UI Express, swagger-jsDocs, and that swagger option file which we haven't created earlier. Swagger-jsDoc equal to require swagger-jsDoc. Okay, now what we have to import is to the option we have created, swagger option. Okay, so import that file, swagger option equal to require swagger. Okay, now it's time to register the options into the JSDoc. So constant JSDoc equal to swagger-jsDoc, and I will pass the swagger option here. Okay, now the JSDoc is ready to use. Okay, so I will create a route for the swagger endpoint, so you can name it anything. I am naming it swagger only. Okay, then here you have to write swagger UI serve. Okay, then comma swagger UI dot setup, and you have to set up the JSDoc here. Okay, now everything is done. You will get an endpoint on UI for swagger, but you will not get any detail of the root operations API. You will get only the endpoint page. Okay, there is some error, express GraphQL. Okay, in this project we have already used the GraphQL also, so there is some dependencies install error, so I have to refresh it using the yarn install, so that all package.json file will be checked and updated if there is something missing. So you can see we have implemented GraphQL also parallelly for the book. Okay, everything is installed. Now npm start. Okay, there is some error. I think I have done some error in swagger-json package.json. Okay. You have to use some below version, because in the latest version, I think this is not stable. So I am using 6.00 version for the swagger-jsDoc, so it may be stable. Okay, now it's time to check. Okay, there is one more error. Okay, I have done some error in swagger.js file when we have created the option. So you have to define swagger definition or only definition. I think there is some spelling missing. Okay, definition correct, word is incorrect. Okay, so I have to replace it with this. Okay, now it's correct. Okay, now database is connected and everything is working. Okay, swagger, oh, great, UI had come. Okay, so there is no, the title, the version and the description is there, and there is no operations defined in this spec. So the swagger is integrated in your application. Now it's time to write JS docs for your operations. So the first step is complete to integrate swagger. Now it's time to write operations documents. Okay, so you can write either in JSON or in YAML. So basically you can provide the JSON in the options which I have created in swagger.js file. Okay, so the best thing is to, if you want to write the correct YAML, is to use the JSON, because JSON is easy to understand and write. So I will write the JSON and it will automatically convert to the YAML. So there should not be chance to error. So the first thing is to give the path of your API. So the first one is list, and the fixed part is book. Okay, so book slash list. Okay, you can see it. Okay, so inside that we will tell which HTTP verb is this. So it is get. So in the quotation we have to write the get. Inside that we will tell what is this API operation is about. So you can pass the summary and description here. So write the summary for the operation so that anyone can see from the UI and understand what is this operation is about. Okay, to get book, and in description I can write get all books. Method is this operation is about for getting all books. Okay, whatever you can write. Okay, now it's time to add the response. So basically which type of response you want to return from your operation. This operation we are returning two type of responses, status 200 and 500. So you can have 200 and 500 here. So I am writing only for 200 here. You can write for 500 also. Response is 200. Okay, so the content should be of the return type will be mentioned here. Content should be application JSON. So I will write application slash JSON. Okay. Okay, now it's time to add the schema of the returning response. So in the returning response we will get the array of the books. So the book has one MongoDB ID, name and author name, only 3 fields. So returning type I have given object. So the properties would be underscore ID, name and author name. The ID type will be string. So I have to pass the type here as string. Now you can add some description here for the field, that like it is the ID of the book or something. Okay, in right side you can see that YAML syntax is automatically generating without any error. If you write the YAML, if you are not experienced, you may get error. So now you can provide some example for this ID so that user can understand from the endpoint that what I have to pass. Now copy and paste it here for the name, and type should be string, name of the book and example. So I have only 3 fields: ID, name and author name. So I have to copy for one more, author name. Okay, in right side you can see there is something error because it has stopped converting to YAML after the ID of the book. So I am missing some comma here after the description, that's why it's throwing error. Okay, I am defining the type array so that the return will be the list of the book. Okay, if we have to return only single book, then we will use the type object, otherwise array, and return will be the list of array. Author name of book. Okay, I am missing the comma so that it is not converting after that. Okay, okay, you can see on the right that all thing is generated correctly. Now it's time to copy this thing. Okay, just copy. Okay, after copying that I have to add some comment section. So in normal comment section we have to provide the asterisk for all the line, so I have to manually add it here so that I can easily paste it on my API. Just simply adding the asterisk here for each line. Okay, now it's ready to copy. Array should be in small. Okay, so I have to write multi-line comment here so that you can see we have to add. Okay, and remove that duplicate. Okay, now it's time to add at the rate swagger so that swagger can understand this comment is for swagger. Now the JSDoc is ready for get operation. You can cross check that you have written correct or not. So you can see there is not any error. It's time to check on UI. Okay, it's not coming. I have refreshed. Okay, there is some error which we have to look at. There is some space issue, I think. So writing a YAML code is so difficult because it needs some good spacing, otherwise it will throw some error. Okay, I think the spacing is right. There is one silly mistake. Just adding one space to all. You have to write the dash, so before id or any property, so that it can understand that it is the separator for the array list. So basically property is the array, and that dash sign shows that it is the starting for one record. Still it's not coming. Then I have to look at another file if there I have any issue. Okay, I have to check in the swagger.js options whether I have given the right path or not for the API. Route book, okay, so .js I have to provide it here. I have missed that one, the file syntax. Okay, you can see it's working. Okay, now the get, try to execute. You are getting all the records of the book here. Okay, so you can see whatever the description and response code you have provided is showing it here. All the records are coming, you can check it here. First one is Python tutorial. Okay, so the get is done. JSDoc for the get operation is done. Now it's time to move on the second one, which is post. In post we have to send some data in the body, so for that we have to write YAML code. Okay, this is the description, and that you are the application JSON response type. Okay, now we copy and paste it for the post. It rename the route, add, get type will be post. Okay, we will have to return the single, so I will change the type to object. Okay, no need of dash. Okay, summary will be add book, add a new book. Okay, get will be post. Now here we have to write the parameters which are required in body or in path or where. So the parameter sections will let you to know which parameter you have to pass, and whether in body or in path or in query. So in parameters we have to define, so what is the name of the field. So the name of the field I can provide is the name only. Okay, so in basically tell where you want to send this parameter. So here I have to send it in body. If you want to send in on path or in query, you have to write the path or query. Okay, then you can define the type, which type of data you are trying to send. So I written required true, so that it is mandatory field. Okay, in responses I am also adding some description. You may add some description here, like we'll get the newly added book in response. Okay, one more field we have to pass is the author name. So the name of the field will be author name. And the in will remain same, body, and the type string will be passed, and the required is true. So there is not any error. You can check on browser what is the response. Okay, the operation has come here. Okay, the field is name and author name. You can pass the string. Okay, try to send the data. So name will be the PHP interview questions, and author name should be passed here. We can define the properties at also in another way, so that you can just pass the 2 parameters or 3 parameters from a single input field. You don't need to add separate fields for the name as well as for the author name. So from one body field you can pass. Okay, so the first example I am showing with 2 separate field. Next I will show in using one single field. Okay, here I am showing to how to send with single field. Okay, so just you have to create the schema for that, so that you can pass schema in JSON from one single input field. Okay, so refresh and check it here. Only one field is required and the example is there. Okay, okay, pass the name. In earlier save method we are saving the record, but the name and the author name is not saving in database because we have not used the body parser. That's why it's not saving in the database list. Okay, but the record is saving. Okay, Okay, for that you have to add body parser and enable JSON so that body data will be converted. You can see some records. After adding the body parser, we are able to save the name and author name, but before that we are not able to save the name and author name, but the record is saving from the endpoint. Okay, you can see we have added the body parser. Okay, now the get operation is done and the post is also done with the single parameter and multiple parameters. We have shown both the examples. Now it's time for put. So put here update, and the dynamic field will be in the quotation braces, curly braces, and id is the name of that parameter. So here I have to define the parameter. id will be passed in the path, so in will be the path, description will be the id of the book. Okay, schema I think I don't need. Because I have to pass, sorry, I need schema because it's update. So one parameter id will be passed from the path, and the another object schema object will be passed from the body, which will be to be updated. So I need both. One in one the id of the book will be passed, and the another will be the detail of the book, which will have to be updated. So one in path will not require the schema, and second will require the schema. So I will remove schema from here and simply add the type as string. Okay, so id which I have to pass is, and you can write the required true so that id is mandatory. Okay, those are, so the first parameter is to be used in path, and second parameter is to be used in the body, and the body section will require the schema for the object type, because we have to pass the name and author name if you want to edit. Now the response section will return the updated one, or the message you can return whatever you want to return. You can change it to your response type. You can change it here. I'm not changing this time. You can change whatever the string you want to return, or the array return, or the single data you want to return. Okay, so there is two error. What is the spacing issue was there, so I have provided space there. Okay, you can see the list of data, and here you can see the put operation is also added, and here the id of the book is required, and in body you have to pass the name and author name. Okay, so try it out. I will update this first one, Python tutorial book, with another name. So I will copy that id and paste it here. Name which we'll want to update. Okay, there is some error. Cannot find the API book/update and id. Okay, there is some name issue, or okay, I have used it here put, so I have to rename it to update. So can, okay, now time to test it again with the same parameters, execute again. Okay, measure success as can. Okay, so get post put is working fine. You can check it here. It has renamed the Python to C#. Okay, so you have successfully learned how to implement JS docs for get, post and put. Now it's time for delete. So in delete you have to pass the id in the parameter in the path, and you don't need anything to pass in the body. If you need, you can pass. If you don't need, you cannot pass, because body is not mandatory. Okay, so type should be delete, rename the summary, rename the description. The second will have to be removed. Okay, just I need the response time. I'm leaving it the same. If you want to change, you can change. Okay, so basically stay tuned for the next video, because I am telling something different from these operations. Okay, you can see that the delete is working, and the field id. Okay, response type is also there. So I am deleting the last record, which is Android tutorial book, with copying the id and paste it here, execute. Okay, message success has come. You can check it in the list whether it's has been removed. Okay, you can see that the last Android has been removed. You can check it out from the Swagger also, get book, execute. You can check in the last. Okay, the last record Android is not there. Okay, so all the operations, 4 operations has been successfully implemented. So in the coming video I will show how to use the components. You can create the schema type separate and reuse that. So in this tutorial what we have done, we have added the 2 dependencies, swagger-express and swagger-jsDoc, and we have changed the version to the stable 6.00. Okay, then in next step I have added the imported all these things and created the JS-doc using the JS option, and the JS option I have provided in separate file, where I have described the title, description, version, and pass the API's link. You can pass multiple here if you have multiple routes, and then after in the route book route. Okay, we have created all the get, post, put, delete, and then after I have added all the things here. Okay, in next video we will show how to use the schema, how to create the schema separately and use them whenever you want to return the object. You can just reference that schema. You will not have to write all the object type with parameters like id, name, author name, list type. You just simply refer that schema. All that property types will be referred. Okay, so that's the most important thing, because you don't have to waste time on rewriting all the response type, and that's so. In this video we have covered adding the swagger and writing the JS-doc for the CRUD operations. I hope that you have got all the basic ideas. Okay, so swagger.serve and swagger.setup, and setup will take the input as JS-doc. So okay, mistakenly I've opened that one. Okay, you can check on the Swagger that the title, description, version, operations, everything is working. If you have not known for GraphQL tutorial, you can check it over from the channel list, YouTube channel list. We have a separate playlist for the GraphQL for all the things that have been covered with interview questions as well. So here what we have did, we have created the, you can check all the things, and you don't have to remember all these things. Just check on the JSDocs official website of the Swagger JSDocs. You can get it from there, whatever the things is required or not, and why we use that or not. Okay, so the basic thing I have covered it here. Okay, all these are easy things. Once you will start using, you will remember all these things. You don't have to go for the official site for help. Okay, so you can return 500 response as well with your own schema, whatever the error message schema. Okay, so you can see that we have also the GraphQL implemented for the book operations. Okay, you can get all the list from book always. So here we don't have to implement Swagger for the UI endpoint, because GraphQL already provides this endpoint where you can easily test all the records. Okay, so you can also check our GraphQL tutorial in which we have covered all the things. Okay, so the parallelly all thing is working, Swagger endpoint as well as GraphQL endpoint for the same book operations. For any tutorial you can go to